Hey guys, Alex Kahn here, and I want to make a vlog just talking about my latest RC movie project, and that was called The House of a Thousand RC Cars, based obviously on The House of a Thousand Corpses, but on some other influences that I enjoy. But the reason why I'm making this video is twofold. One, some visitors might want to know how I made this video, and two, a lot of this is for myself, to be honest, because when I make these RC car movies, I forget some of the struggles that it causes me whenever I tackle some of these movie projects, because there's a lot of work involved. So by documenting this, I can refer to this video later on, and it'll help me plan things easier in the future for RC movie projects. So House of a Thousand RC Cars, as I said, it's based on actually three things. One, House of a Thousand Corpses, one of my favorite horror movies made by Rob Zombie. And two, pizza. I love pizza, and I think pizza delivery is often ignored in movies. So I wanted to incorporate pizza delivery, drivers in an RC car video. And three, what's my third reason? Oh yeah, I love car action in movies. So I wanted to incorporate car action into a movie that I love that didn't feature car action. So obviously this storyline that I wrote for this movie, it's not exactly House of a Thousand Corpses, but it's based on the House of a Thousand Corpses. So I chose a storyline that takes place after The Devil's Reject, and I said it in 2001 because if I said it in 2019, people wouldn't believe that Captain Spaulding would still look that pristine. But that's really nothing really, to be honest. But let's talk about the project then. All right, so you might not believe this, but I actually did write a script for this RC project. So whenever I do an RC mini movie, I always have a script for it, and I'll always do the script long before I do anything else. Like I'll write the script, and then that's when I'll start buying all the parts that I need to make the script come to life. But my script, hold on. It's like eight or nine pages, I think, 7 or 8 pages. So when I wrote the script, I knew it was going to be a pretty long video. I was hoping that I could cut it down to 5 minutes, but when I started editing this video, it came out to 9 minutes. And unfortunately, that's the way it has to be, and that's a bad thing because most people don't watch videos that are over 5 minutes on YouTube, to be honest. So my YouTube video for this movie was it's a little short of 10 minutes. It's like 9 minutes and 45 seconds or something like that. But yeah, the important thing is to have a script. That way you have something to plan on, and it's a bit more organized. All right, guys, so now I want to talk about the parts that I got for this RC car movie. And honestly, a lot of these things I already had prior to even writing my script. So if you can save money by using items that you already have, then do it, because these can get really expensive. So I kept the budget down for this RC project pretty low. But everything you see here, this is only most of the things that I had to drag out to the filming location. So you see the RC cars, you see the buildings that I used, you see most of the action figures that I used. But what you're not seeing all the lights that I brought, all the batteries that I brought. There's a lot of things that I had to bring outside of this, and I didn't bring all these all on the same day. Depending on the scene that I was filming, I would bring certain things, and that's why having the script helped me plan out this video better. All right, so because this was a Halloween horror mini movie, I wanted to set all of my scenes, or most of my scenes, at nighttime, which meant it was going to be dark, which meant lighting was extremely important. Now, this is one of the main lights that I used, and I got this off of Amazon, and a very helpful tool, because I can make it really bright or really or not so bright, depending on the scene. But this is not the only light that I used. I had almost 10 different light sources that I used, and that was one of the biggest problems that I had making this project, was figuring out how to make an RC car video at night, because I've tried it before and it didn't go so well. But with with today's technology, I feel like like cameras that are made today, they're better for low lighting settings. So I took a chance and I decided, hey, technology's ready for me to make a nighttime RC car video. So I did that. Now, when you can use ambient lighting that's already in the area, that's great. Like street lamps, that'll cast a pretty good light on your subject matter. But there were times in my video where it was pitch black. There were no lights whatsoever. So I had to bring my own lights. I had this one. I had a bunch of mini ones. I brought my camping light here that I can wear on my head. And that helped me, walk around the filming locations without, tripping on something, falling into a ditch, or possibly running into an alligator or a snake that I couldn't see. So I had to be very careful about that. I went to the dollar store. I got a bunch of these little battery operated Christmas lights, which I use for my museum, the Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen. So again, these lights were only $1 each for these. And I made sure they were battery operated because I was going to places where there were no power outlets. All right, guys. So the buildings that I used were extremely important for this. I knew I couldn't really make a good video without including buildings. I mean, I could still make a video without the buildings, but without buildings, I wouldn't have Captain Spaulding's museum. But luckily, I had this barn here, and then that other custom build right there. And those were used for other RC projects that you haven't seen yet. But the important thing is I could recycle these and use them for this video. But the main building that I used in this movie was Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen here. And it's kind of cool. This building is actually flat. Hold on, I'm just going to show you too. See that? It's one-dimensional. I mean, there is some three-dimensional elements to make it look like it's not completely flat, but you can see that it's just a facade. And I actually hired someone to make this for me, and he did an amazing job with it. And then I added the little signs to it: the air conditioning, oil change, drum brakes, clean restrooms, and I added these little props to it. Well, not the phone booth, but I added the bench, the Coke machine, which is actually a toothpick dispenser, and there was a clown at the House of 1,000 Corpses house at Halloween Horror Nights. So I just got a Pez clown, and it's okay, I guess. I forgot to put the tires back over there. But that was the Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen. And this building here, I'm using this for my other RC project. Let's just put it at that. And you can see that I already took down all of the items that were up here, but I filmed the counter scenes with Captain Spaulding in that corner. You can see where all the fake blood went. There's my fake blood splatter right there from Halloween, Spirit Halloween. But I used I printed these objects out, and then I glued them onto cardboard, and I just taped them onto the wall back there. And that cash register is a vintage item, which wasn't too expensive. But when I was making this thing, I forgot to tell you guys. Yeah, this is not modeled after the museum from the movie House of 1,000 Corpses. It's modeled after the house from Halloween Horror Nights, which is based on the movie. So these signs here that you see, they are not seen in the movie, but they are seen in the House of 1,000 Corpses house from Halloween Horror Nights 29 in Florida. That's from the movie, though. See that homemade crispy fried chicken? That's used in the movie, but you don't see it in the movie. You see it in behind-the-scenes stuff. The barn here. Now, this barn, it's a barn, but I turned it to its side during production, and I just turned it into a pizza place called Milano's Pizza. And I put a little clear plastic there so it looked like there's a window there and it's not just completely clear. I thought about cutting off the wooden bars here, but I think I still need those wooden bars for my other RC project, so I didn't want to destroy that. All right, let's talk about the RC cars that I use because that's the whole point of this video. Well, part of the point of this video. And for the most part, I followed the philosophy that if I'm going to put this in an RC car movie, I don't want it to be stock looking. So this car, this car, this car, and this car, four of these cars were modified in their appearance so that they didn't look, like I just bought it from the store. This one, though, this Chevy Caprice here, this is completely stock form, but I made a point not to show a close-up of it. And this is the police car that shows up towards the end of the video. And it's still got its stickers on it. The reason why I didn't want to take off the stickers is because this is a very expensive, rare, vintage item. So in its form like this, it's very sought after on the eBays. So I made sure not to change this, but I also made sure not to zoom in on these ridiculous looking stickers. But to find a Chevy Caprice is very difficult. But I needed a police car that didn't look too modern. So I went with this Chevy Caprice. And I want to show you the other cars. So the two main cars in this vehicle were these. They were made by Max Tech, and they are actually 1/10 scale. And when I was writing my script, I was looking for a 1/10 scale or 1/12 scale RC car that had opening doors and an interior. So let me take that battery out. These cars looked ridiculous when I first bought them. I had to paint over over some of the ridiculous things. I changed their wheel colors a little bit. I have these custom-made pizza delivery toppers that were made by Brad Hare Productions. But I blacked out the roof or the hood. I took off all the stickers that were on it. I put these custom Texas license plates on it. And because it's Texas, the law in Texas is that you have to have a front and rear plate. So I made sure they had front and wheel plates, or front and rear license plates. The blue one also had ridiculous looking stickers and designs on it, so I made sure to change all that. But these are really cool. It's hard to believe that these were the cheapest RC cars in my video, but there is an actual interior, a very good looking interior. And again, these doors actually open. I can't believe how cheap these RC cars were. So I think each one was like $20 even with the shipping. I think with the shipping it was like 25 or 30, but it was no more than that. That's dirt cheap for an RC car. Now, Dr. Satan does not have an actual car in the movies, but I got this bad boy. This looks like the kind of car that Dr. Satan would drive. So it's actually a 1950 Mercury. The kind of car that Sylvester Stallone drove in Cobra, which I don't think many people have seen. But it's kind of got that steampunk look to it. That outrageous engine blower on the front kind of reminds me of Dr. Satan's oxygen mask. So I felt like this was a good car for Dr. Satan to be driving, even though he doesn't drive in the movies. It was kind of an inspired car design, but that was actually made for a hobby grade chassis. But for this, to make it cheaper, or to lower my cost for budget, I used a cheap NECA 1/10 scale RC chassis. So that's another way I recycled parts for my project. And finally, the car that you see the most in this video is the 67 Chevy Impala, and that's driven by the sheriff at the beginning, and then it's later stolen by Captain Spaulding. But the reason why I picked a 67 Chevy Impala is because in the movie House of a Thousand Corpses, there actually is a 67 Impala in that movie. So this was an inspired choice, take one of the cars and then give it a bigger role for my video. But added these, Brad Hare Productions did the paint job for this, added the decals. I sent him these lights and the siren on top, which kept breaking off, by the way. And you actually see that in the video where it breaks off. But the megaphone on top is actually a Jimmy Hart wrestling action figure megaphone. So one of the downsides to RC projects, when you have a lot of them to bring, are batteries. None of these cars, except for these two, use the same battery. So I had to bring a variety of batteries. And the hardest ones to get batteries for were these two cars. These MaxTech cars are from China. So they had this really weird three-pronged battery. It's a 9.6V battery, but look at the connector. It's got three prongs on it. So for a while, I only had one of these batteries to power both of these. So I had to make sure there was only one car in the shot. Or later on, I devised a way to have both cars in motion, even though they weren't actually moving. I basically got in the back of a pickup truck and started filming these from a very low angle so that it looked like they were driving in the countryside. But in reality, I only had one battery, so that's how I got them in motion. But eventually, I got another battery at the last second. So I had two of these weird batteries powering both of these RC cars. So those are my cars for the project. And this one is a beast, the Radio Shack Impala. That one actually kept up with my Tamiya RC at General Lee in my Dukes of Hazzard video. And I actually have quite a few of these Impalas, and you've seen the one from the Dukes of Hazzard. For this video, I got this one painted up to look like the sheriff's car from House of a Thousand Corpses. All right, guys, so let's talk about the action figures. And for the most part, I try to keep my action figures 1/10 scale, but you can see some of these characters are not quite 1/10 scale. But let's see here. This is the, I forgot the actor's name already, but that's an action figure made by, I think, McFarlane for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. But it's played by that drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket. And I got this guy who can do a really good impersonation of him to voice him. Those are from the House of a Thousand Corpses. Those are definitely 1/10 scale. And I was lucky to find a very cheap operating table here that Dr. Satan could operate on his victims on. Here's a dead body, which I didn't get to use, unfortunately. Now this guy, this is actually if you can't recognize him, it's actually Superboy. And I just took a black marker, or a black paint marker, and I blacked out his the S on his chest so that he looked just like, kind of like me, just an Asian person. And Superman is not Asian, by the way, but he just looks Asian. So these two are from The Walking Dead, and you can see how small they are compared to the 1/10 scale figures. I think these guys are like 5 inches tall. So when I filmed them, I had to put them on little wooden blocks so that they looked to be about the same height as these guys. But I used trick angles to make it look like they were just as big as them. But this is, oh my gosh, what's his name? Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead. And here's the comic book Walking Dead version of Shane. And then we have Captain Spaulding back here, made by NECA or Nika. I don't know how you pronounce that, but this is from his House of a Thousand Corpses appearance, played by the late actor Sid Haig, who I've met. Great guy. And I needed someone who looked kind of Turkish, because I wanted a Turkish person to play the owner of Milano's Pizza for reasons. But I used the guy from Preacher, and I forgot his name already too. But I put a little doll coat over him, so he looked kind of like a chef. And I tied the red ribbon around his neck, so he looked like a chef too. And here's a miniature pizza box, which actually has there is pizza in here. See that? So that was one of the props from the movie. Very small, but very essential for the production. Oh, I also have my other main character here. Let me get her real quick. This is Marie. I don't know if I can see that. Let me just pick up my camera. So she actually fits in the car, which I had a problem with Superman over there. But when you take her out, you can see just how small she is. Hold on. She's about the same scale as the Walking Dead figures. Actually, she might be a little smaller, but no, she's about the same scale. So when I filmed her next to Han, look how small she really is next to the Han here. Hold on. So look how small she is. So when I filmed them side by side in the video, I put her on wooden blocks so that she looked proper to scale. The good thing about her is I could put her inside this 1/10 scale RC car without breaking her. Unfortunately for Superboy here, look at this. Let's have him fly over here to this guy. So I have another Superboy figure inside here. There he is. It's the same exact figure. The thing is, he wouldn't fit inside the car. I had to cut his legs off to make him fit. See that? So that's one of the. It's kind of an expensive. That wasn't too expensive, but it could have been less costly if I could have just used one figure to put in there. But since I used this guy already, I found another one on sale, and I cut his legs off, and I blacked out his chest. So those are my my action figures. Well, most of the action figures that I used for this video. So here's the Captain Spaulding road exit sign, which I found someone who had the prop from the movie, but they posted their picture from an angle, so I had to go back on a photo editor and reposition some of the things so that it looked like it was like this. And that was interesting, but I blew it up and then printed it out at FedEx because my printer is broken. And then I glued it onto a cardboard background here, and I put two little sticks to put it in the dirt. And my hero, who dies, drives by this in the video. This is my original sign, and this is a straight screenshot from the movie. But when I printed it out, you can see how bad it looks because it's from a night shot. So I think it was much better that I used a screenshot from the actual prop that was not in production, or that was not from a movie screenshot, because the movie screenshot looks really bad. All right, so I think those are the main points I want to talk about for this RC car movie. I'm trying to think of some anecdotes from filming that I could share with you guys. That might have been kind of interesting. I guess the big things were the lighting. That was a pain in the butt. Driving in the giant dirt pit was a pain in the butt because, again, these were cheap RC cars. They had a hard time driving. And this did take, I think, 7 different nights and mornings for filming. And this would have been impossible to organize if I didn't have that script. Like, I made a lot of continuity mistakes, and that was even having a script. If you shot this kind of video without a script, you would be having all kinds of problems, at least for me anyways. So the script, it's a nice blueprint, and I did change some things about it, but yeah, you should never be scared of changing anything in your script while you're filming, because sometimes when you film stuff, it's easier to do it one way, or you might find something better if you did it another way. So the script's really just a guideline, but it helps to have that kind of organization in your production. So I'm gonna keep this piece. I took off all the lights already. I want to keep it as a display piece because this is one of my favorite houses ever in Halloween Horror Nights history at Universal Studios. And I think I'm one of the few people that actually love this house. I know there's other people that love it, but I really love it. So, I'm trying to think of what else to add to this. If you guys watched this RC movie for Halloween, what do you think about it? Because I definitely thrive on feedback for my videos, especially my RC car movies. What did you think about it? What kinds of RC movies would you like to see me tackle in the future? I already have like 20 projects, listed. I haven't really fleshed them out. I am working on the Mad Max project still. That one took a little halt in production, so I could get this video out in time for Halloween. But it was quite a pain in the butt filming this because I would say back in September, I started buying the different parts that I needed for this project, like the action figures, getting my guy to make this diorama for me. Then I didn't start filming until the week before Halloween, or the week of Halloween, so that was really hard. No, it was the week before Halloween, but there were a lot of things happening during this week and last week. Dr. Sleep came out, the movie, for pre-screening, and also there was Halloween Horror Nights I had a lot of other Halloween events planned for this week and last. So it was really hard. So I basically crammed all this into 7 nights, I think, and that was quite the challenge. There's only one thing that I filmed back in early October, and that was the opening sequence where I have Dr. Wolfenstein presenting the upcoming movie coming out, and that was obviously based on those people like Elvira, and also the opening for House with Thousand Corpses. Those old '80s hosts that would present the upcoming movie. So that was pretty fun. I added a tire to Wolfenstein's name, so it wasn't Wolfenstein, it was Wolfenstein. So definitely a fun production, but I cut it really close. I wanted it open or up in time for Halloween, and that was the important thing because I wanted a Halloween RC car movie. And again, I wanted an RC car movie that featured one of my favorite Halloween movies of all time, and also pizza delivery, and car action. And also the fact that there weren't many Halloween RC car movies on YouTube to begin with. Like, again, there was only like a dozen. So I'm happy that I added another movie to the very few list of Halloween RC car movies on YouTube. So questions, comments, leave it in the comment section. Again, I thrive on your feedback, so let me know about what you thought about my movie. And if you want to see more, what other kind of RC car movies would you like to see in the future?